Hi everyone, welcome to another video. And if you are new to my channel, my name is Liz. I love to talk about the construct of reality and connect that with all these different systems so that we can decode reality. And today I want to talk a little bit more about astrology, but I want to explain the basics of astrology. So what are the signs? What are the planets? What are the houses? How can you read your own natal chart? But also to understand the current transits so that you understand way better which cycles are now active in your life. Because especially if you're very self-aware, just as I am, you feel a lot, you see a lot in your reality, and sometimes it's much more easy to understand why particular things and themes pop up in your life. Because the cosmos is reflecting everything on the collective consciousness, but also on an individual level. Because I talk so much about astrology and patterns and cycles, I thought let's start with just the basics, so it's way more understandable for yourself. So I want to start with the planets, and I'm only gonna look at like the planets that have not such a long cycle. So that are like the Sun, the Moon, Mars, Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. I'm not gonna go deep into Neptune and Uranus and Pluto, for example, because they have very long cycles. They stay for a long time in one particular sign, so that energy is more active for a longer period of time. But these transits of these other planets are very interesting to understand what they mean. And especially if you understand your own natal chart and you see where the planets are when you were born, you can understand that as that's your kind of blueprint. So that's who you are. And then you have the current transits, and that is way more in the way like where is the energy of this planet now activated, in which field in your life. What are the themes that pop up? Especially when you're self-aware, everything starts to make so much sense. And I think it's nice to understand these current transits for yourself, because then you are like extra aware of like, these planets and these zodiac signs want me to look a little bit deeper at this right now, only to understand your soul journey better and to make more sense of your life, your soul journey, because these planets are here to help. So the very basics of astrology, I really want to start first with the planets and what they are represent, because I see every planet as a kind of friend that is helping you, guiding you, walking along with you in this whole soul journey. And every planet has its own energy. It has its own characteristic. It's like, for example, your friend who's gonna help you with growth, expansion, giving you wisdom during your soul journey. And I'm now talking, probably you already know this, but I'm talking now particularly about Jupiter, which is like this friend that's really walking with you. And I will put everything here on the screen. You can look back, you can pause the video, you can look back. I will go through everything so you have the right tools to understand everything. So the planets are like archetypes. They have a specific energy. They are kind of your friends in your whole soul journey. And these friends, they represent like a different part of you. Yeah. Then we have the different zodiac signs. And every zodiac sign tells you how that planet is expressing itself. So for example, friend Jupiter are walking along with you in your soul journey, and then suddenly, for example, now it's in Leo, and then Leo helps with the characteristics of Leo to create this growth and expansion in the sign of Leo, which is all about courage and like shining and bravery, and we will go through everything. So if the planet is your friend that carries a particular energy, then the zodiac signs tells us what kind of personality that friend has at that moment, and also how they're gonna show up for you in your soul journey. But then we also have the different houses, and it's important to understand that you only know the houses when you know the specific time you were born. Otherwise you have no idea about the houses. So you can also just look at, only if you don't know what time you were born, you can also just look at, of course, the planet and the zodiac signs, but the houses tells you where that energy is active in your life, where this energy is playing out in your life, or let's say in which area in your life the energy is now shining its light. So to make it very simple, you can think of the planet is what, the zodiac sign is how, and then the house is where. Okay, so let's go now a little bit deeper. So when you put all these three things together, you get a more clear picture. What energy is present, how it expresses itself, and where in your life you experience it. So for example, in my own natal chart, Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion and wisdom, is in Cancer, in my 10th house. So my natal chart is about my blueprint, my energy blueprint. This is why astrology is also very connected to human design and gene keys. It's all about the blueprint of the soul that's experiencing life and learning lessons here on planet Earth. So let's say Jupiter, growth, expansion, wisdom in Cancer, which is more about nurturing and caring and emotional feelings and emotional growth. So there it's where it's like throughout actually my whole life in my blueprint, where the energy is active. But it's in my 10th house, which is about career and public life and how you represent yourself to the world. That's kind of my blueprint. And it makes sense that I'm also doing this, of course. But at this moment, for me, and that can be for you completely different because your houses are different. For me now, Jupiter, my friend who helps me growing, is now in Leo. So it's like shining a light on Leo, and it helps me grow and mature and expand the characteristics of Leo. And I will put everything here on the screen and I will go really quickly through it. So it's like this courage and visibility and being seen. And I talked about this in many videos already, but yeah, I really like Jupiter because I love to grow and mature in life. But it is now in my 11th house, which is more about community and friendships, vision. Yeah, it's really interesting because I'm really experiencing that. I mean, I want to find my tribe. I want to show myself, be brave and courageous to show myself and hopefully find my tribe and new friendships and not making myself smaller anymore, but really standing up for what I believe in, who I am, what I do. So that is really active right now. Okay, I want to go first to talk about the different planets because I just wanted to give you a little example so you know what I'm gonna discuss in this video. And maybe you think like, okay, I still don't know what is Jupiter about and Leo and everything. But we're gonna go into this now and I will put it all on the screen. The planets I want to talk about are the Sun, the Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, and Saturn. So the Sun is all about identity, about yourself. The Sun also goes, of course, every month is in a different sign. This is like the different months, the different zodiac signs, and it's shining its light all the time on something else. And it's also the life force of yourself. Then we have the Moon, and the Moon is all about emotions and inner world needs. Venus is about love. Doesn't only have to be like love as in like relationships love, but can also be like in friendships love. It's about your values and it's about pleasure. Then Mars, about action, desire and the drive. Mercury is all about communication and learning and thinking, like the thinking mind. Jupiter, expansion, growth, beliefs, wisdom, abundance also. And then we have Saturn, and Saturn is about discipline. Saturn is also the ruling planet of Capricorn, and Capricorn is all also about discipline and ambition. Just to make a little quick explanation, everyone always wants to make these New Year's resolutions, right? Do I say it like that? Yeah, I think so. So from 1 of January, I'm gonna go to the gym and I want to lose like this amount of kilos, and I'm gonna do this. I wanna be disciplined, you know. That is because the sun is at that moment in Capricorn, you know, around like the end of December and the beginning of January. This is why we feel we want to make these New Year's resolutions. So I just want to give you a little an example of that. You really see that it works like that. If we look at the planets as living principles or like our guides, the sun is really showing us and teaching us like, who am I? The moon, how do I feel? Venus, what do I love? What do I value? How I relate? Mars, what I want? How do I act? How I assert myself. Mercury, how do I think? And how do I communicate? And how do I process? And then Jupiter, how I grow? What do I believe? Where do I expand? And then we have our guide, our friend Saturn, that helps us with what I must learn, where I have to mature, where I have to build. Yeah, so these are like the different planets with their specific energy, and every planet is a guide for us, you know, it's helping us. Okay, then I want to go very quickly through the 12 zodiac signs because I don't want to make this video too long. I want to make it digestible for you, because every zodiac sign has its positive sides and it has their shadow sides. And here also quantum physics comes in play again. Because when a planet is shining its light on one particular zodiac sign, we can look through the lens of positivity or negativity. Yeah, so if we are positive, we feel that energy, you know, how it is playing out in a positive side. But if we are very in negative energy, we can definitely feel the shadow side of every zodiac sign. So it's always this polarity, you know, this duality. So I just want to talk very quickly about each zodiac sign. Just, you can read it here, just the positive side, you know. But I definitely encourage you to look up your natal chart, to check it, and go back to the video and just find it out for yourself, what your blueprint is, but also what you're experiencing right now. So the positive sides of Aries is like courage, initiative, independence. It's also the first sign of the zodiac signs. So this is also why this warrior energy always comes from. It's like how the world is actually moving again, you know, because everything starts blossoming again in March, April. So this is why we see it as like the first sign of the whole zodiac. Taurus is more about stability, loyalty, sensuality. Gemini, curiosity, adaptability, communication. Cancer, nurturing, intuition, emotional depth, true feelings, because for example Scorpio is also about emotional depth, but I will get to that. Leo, confidence, creativity, bravery, generosity also. Virgo, discernment, practicality, devotion. Also routines is very a theme of Virgo. Virgo season just started, so I don't know for you if you feel like, oh, I want to get back into my routines. Well, that's Virgo shining its light. Libra, harmony, diplomacy, beauty, because Libra always wants to balance everything out, you know, it wants harmony in life. Scorpio, intensity, transformation, emotional depth, but through intimacy and transformation. So for example, Cancer is way more about the feelings, and Scorpio is intense, you know, it stings also. It's very much about transformation. Sagittarius, freedom, optimism, exploration. Many people who travel a lot have a lot of Sagittarian energy. Capricorn, ambition, discipline, resilience. Aquarius, innovation, independence, and vision. Pisces, compassion, imagination, intuition. And then we have the 12 different houses. I will put this all on the screen. I'm not gonna through everything right now. You can pause the video and just take a look at it for yourself. But I want to give you an explanation how this works, the planets and the zodiac signs and the particular house. I will put my own natal chart on the screen, and then you can look for yourself and understand it way better. Because the inner circle that you see, that is your natal chart. This is where the planets were when you were born. And then you also see the numbers. Those are the houses. The outer ring, that is where the planets are now. So where it's shining its light now. So, for example, I already told you in my natal Jupiter, Cancer, in the 10th house. So this Jupiter energy of growth, expansion, beliefs, wisdom is expressed through the personality of Cancer, which is also emotional growth and maturity, feelings and nurturing. So I was born to learn a lot about emotional maturity and taking care of myself. But where is that playing out? In the 10th house, which is about career and public life. But current Jupiter is now in Leo in the 11th house, as you can see. So that means that Jupiter is currently activating my 11th house, bringing expansion and growth around friendships, community, networks, audiences, vision, future dreams, you know, it's like expanding there, but with the personality of Leo. Yeah. So, okay, let's go to another explanation, because Jupiter, for example, will go through all the zodiac signs in 12 years. So it's like more or less 1 year in every sign. But let's take, for example, Venus, because Venus is around 3 or 4 weeks in every zodiac sign. So that planet goes way faster. So also the cycles go way faster. So, for example, my natal Venus is in Aquarius, in the 5th house. And Venus is the archetype of love and relationships and values. When this is in Aquarius, Aquarius is a lot about independence and intellectual connection and vision and a different way of thinking, philosophizing about many things in life. And this is what I really see back. I'm this person that I love friendship with depth. You know, if I have a friend and we can go deep and talk about like innovation or like future new technologies or the new earth or humanity, you know, I love that. For example, someone who has their Venus in Cancer, that person sees friendships and partnerships, you know, more, or relationships, more in a way of it wants to care, it wants to nurture, it wants to feel, you know. I really want to go deep. I want to philosophize with my friends. But then we look at the 5th house. The 5th house is all about creativity, romance, self-expression and pleasure. This is also why I start this YouTube channel, because I love to talk about these things. So it is expressing in my life, because that's my blueprint, in a way of that I can like be creative and share these thoughts, these deeper thoughts with other people. But let's look now at where Venus is transiting at this moment, just to give an explanation. So again, you know, Venus, what? Yeah, love, values, pleasure. How? In Aquarius, independence, visionary, intellectual, philosophy. And then in the 5th house, So where creativity, romance, self-expression. So this is what I really value. The friend who is helping me with discovering my values. Yeah, I was born like this. Okay, so transiting Venus right now, which is also very interesting because this is what's now going on in my life. This is the cycle that is playing out in my life. So as you can see, Venus is now in Libra. And Libra is about harmony, balance, beauty also. With the energy, of course, the friend, Venus, that says like, where's gonna be your value, you know, at this moment. But, and it's funny because it's not that I thought about this like 4 weeks ago and I thought like, oh, it's gonna go to Libra. No, yesterday I was at the gym and I was just thinking about, okay, how am I gonna make this video? And then I thought, oh, I'm gonna make some examples and I'm just gonna explain Jupiter, because Jupiter is a really positive planet and I like Jupiter, and I can really express what's going on right now in my life, because you see that. If you're watching to my video, it's active right now, right? So then I thought, okay, let's also check Venus. And then I saw it was like in Libra in my first house. And the first house is all about me. It's my identity. And since a couple of weeks, I'm really thinking, okay, but what do I value in my own life? I want to balance things again. I want to have more beauty again in my life. Because with the solar eclipse, and I will go into this as well, yeah, one theme really popped up, and that was self-abandonment. And I always knew I had an abandonment trauma, especially in relationships. I'm holding on to relationships even though I know I have to move on, you know. But then I found out, yeah, but it's not only this self-abandonment trauma this abandonment trauma I have, I'm self-abandoning, you know, I'm abandoning myself. So I thought I'm gonna do everything differently. I'm gonna go to the hairdresser, to the salon. I'm gonna do my lashes, lash lift again. Soon I will do my manicure again. Yeah, like the beauty, you know. And I saw this and I thought, oh my God, you know, this is really how it's playing out right now. It's really like the values, like, okay, which values I have. I'm not gonna abandon myself anymore. And we see that back. So this is very interesting. And also because Libra is about not only about beauty, but also harmony and balance and connection. I really learned to feel the connection with myself again, with my higher self. This is really a big topic in my life right now, which is healthy, you know. I mean, it's just, that's what I need. So yeah, again, the natal chart, who you are, what is your blueprint? And then the transit is like what is being activated right now. It's more like the cosmic weather in your life right now. So not like, oh, now this period, it's like raining a lot because it's rainy season. No, it's like also we have cosmic weather, you know. So you can see like what kind of season is like active right now in your life. Then we have also another thing I really want to talk about, because I think everyone always reads about Mercury retrograde, right? And I think a lot of people don't really know what that means. So I also want to explain that in this video. So when a planet goes direct, the energy is expressed outward. There's a lot of noise right now. So when a planet goes direct, the energy is expressed outward. So there's like action, there's movement, there is progression. Yeah. When a planet is retrograde, the energy turns inwards. So that means it's time to do some reflection and take it slow. And this is why they also always say, okay, it's Mercury retrograde. Don't sign any contracts, for example, you know. Leave it on the table for a while. Just express it. Is this really what you want? And then later you can come up with signing the contract, for example. It's very important to do those things because Mercury is the planet of communication and the thinking mind. But for example, when another planet goes retrograde, let's say Venus, it's more about going inward and processing, like, what do you find? What do you value for yourself? What is important when it comes to your own values. You know, it's like this inward reflective feelings, like revisiting these values again instead of just moving, you know. So that's really important. So probably if you didn't know, now you understand also why a lot of astrologers always scream Mercury retrograde. Go inward, process everything before you sign, for example, a contract, or write an email and just send it out immediately. No, that can create a lot of conflict, for example. Okay, so these are the basics of astrology. I think it really helps if you find out your own natal chart. You can find out online for free. For example, I use what you see on the screen, Astro Team. So then you can also see the transits at this moment. You can also include, if you want, the asteroids like Chiron or like Lilith, or, you know, there are so many more planets and points and north nodes and everything, but I want to keep it digestible, so this is why you only see this. Yeah, so you can really see like which themes are active for you right now. So it makes like so much more sense what's going on in your life. Then I want to talk about the new moon we had, which was a solar eclipse, to explain that a little bit, why then it is a solar eclipse. And soon we have the full moon, which is a lunar eclipse. And eclipses are very interesting. And Asian spiritual traditions always said that this corridor, so they call it eclipse corridor, has a very potent energy because the veil is more thin, which means we can connect much better with our higher self. We are way more intuitive. Like things pop up much faster, much easier for yourself, that otherwise you maybe would not notice for a long time, which is for me the self-abandonment, for example. So, but then these eclipses are, of course, also in a particular zodiac sign. And this is very interesting because I was thinking a lot about this also, because I want to a little bit understand, like, okay, this really pops up now, which is interesting. When we have a new moon, the sun and the moon are at the same spot. They are conjunct. That's how we call it in astrology. So the sun was in Leo and the moon was in Leo. So it was a lot of themes about Leo. The moon, which is about like the emotions, shining its light in Leo. And then the sun, which is more about the identity and the self, also shining its light on Leo. So there was a lot of Leo energy with the new moon, the solar eclipse. Now the full moon will be in Pisces with the lunar eclipse. And I was really thinking, okay, Pisces is intuitive. The shadow sides is like illusions and fantasy, but it's also like very emotional, intuition. So I thought, okay, something is going to be complete because the new moon is about something new is going to start, and the full moon is like, it's full now, you know, there's completion. It's like done. It's like illuminating what is complete. So I thought, okay, something very intuitive, and what could that be then? And then I suddenly thought, because of course the moon is in Pisces, so the emotions is very like intuitive. But the sun is in Virgo. So instead of like with the full moon, the solar eclipse, both the sun and the moon were in Leo. Now the moon is in Pisces, but the sun is in Virgo. So suddenly it's also Virgo is entering the conversation and is also shining its light. And what I feel is really a theme for me, and so connected also with this whole self-abandonment, is the connection with myself, with my higher self. Sitting still and thinking about what pops up intuitively. But then Virgo says, which is more about practicality and also routines, like, yeah, but how are you gonna do that then, Pisces? How just sit still? You have to make a little bit of a routine. You have to make it practical. And then I thought, so I have to because I was already thinking about it, I should more, meditate and sit down with myself to feel what pops up, to really spend time with myself and focus on the relationship with my higher self. Or what other people sometimes say is that I want to focus on the connection with God again, for other people that's more like your higher self, because you believe God is within, or doesn't matter what you believe in or your perception of God. But then Virgo says, okay, but how are we gonna do that? You have to put some routines, you have to put this in a practical way, otherwise you're never gonna feel this intuition and connection with yourself. So do you see what the difference is between a new moon and a full moon, but then also these eclipses and this corridor of 16 days it is? And I don't know about you, but for me it's quite heavy, the energy. And it's good, it's good that this pops up, and I've been neglecting a lot when it comes to myself. It was kind of rough, also painful. But I definitely had to look at this, and and for everyone that's different. But it was with the Leo energy, so it was much about bravery and courageous and the self, the ego, and a new beginning of something that needs to start, and then something will be completed. You get this idea, something will be illuminating to you, what needs to be your focus on. So this was my video about the basics of astrology. I really hope it was helpful. I really like to talk about these topics. I'm not an astrologer. I really want to say that. I'm not an astrologer. I'm not a quantum physicist. I'm not a tarot reader, but I do like to understand these systems, because they are the backbone of our reality. They are the parts of the architecture, or this construct of our reality. I call myself way more a reality decoder. I use these systems to understand what is going on in my reality, to make sense of these things, because I do believe we live in a simulation. We, as a soul, signed up to come to Earth, and we learn our lessons. And it is nice to have the tools to understand this simulation much better, to play the game much better. And it's almost a kind of cheat code, and this is what I really, really, really want to talk about. And it's not only astrology, it's quantum physics, it's consciousness, to understand consciousness, these patterns, these fractals in life, soul contracts. Very, very interesting topic. I want to make a lot of videos about that, but now, because the cosmos and the energy, the astrology right now is so potent for the time we live in. So I really feel I want to explain that more. But I definitely want to make so many videos about quantum physics and consciousness itself. Because we are not the mind, we are consciousness. We have to detach from the mind. But that is something for another video. And then soul contracts is also so interesting, especially when we look at karmic contracts. But also, for example, messengers in your reality. You have these people you don't have a lot of exposure with, or not really a friendship with, but these people, they are just giving you sometimes a particular message that you needed to hear. And a couple of weeks later, they suddenly pop into your reality again, and they give you another message. Or soulmates, but also twin flames. I mean, twin flames, they are such a catalyst for your whole awakening and enlightenment. It's twin flames was such a deep dive for me. I can tell so much about that, but that will be in another video. So I hope this was really helpful, guys. I wish you a really nice last few days of the eclipse corridor. I know it can be difficult, but we are almost there. Okay, guys, I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.